not really quarantined.
Not anymore. Life's getting back to normal. I even started sports, dude.
Yeah, we ate downtown today.
Yep.
At the grilled cheesery.
Oh yeah, that was fun and it was okay, but I think I like Tom and Chi better. No offense, Cheesery.
In the news this week, let's see, Ginsburg died, and and now the Republicans are trying to rush to replace her. Even though 4 years ago, they, said that.
With 8 months to go.
Yeah, you know the story.
Or you can look it up.
Anyway, we're just tired. We are just weary of all the Republican hypocrisy. And it's, one way or another, Trump is determined to steal this election.
Yeah, he's got all his backups set up with mail-in voter fraud, stuff like that. And the thing is that everything he sets up has a fail-safe. If he says that you have to have, right now they're talking about naked envelopes, which he sued to actually get done. And they were thrown out when they weren't naked. Naked. It's Southern. Naked.
That will be on the bottom half of the screen is Roxy Roller in pink.
I'm at the top. I like blue and black. It's cool. But yeah, world is depressing, although it seems like we're getting back to some sense of normalcy. Everything that's different now is because we're under dictatorship rather than fake democracy. And to be fair and truthful, it wasn't all that democratic before. Somebody shot things at me. You missed the oil slick. I put it in your way. You missed the oil slick.
Let's say I missed it.
I have a cat with a lot of claws in my lap. She's still getting comfortable.
Yikes. Get up from there.
Aw, man! Damn it!
Ha.
You blew me up, and you blew me up twice.
Hey, Kara.
Do you have my blankie? You have my blankie.
Good girl.
Everybody got points because he blew me up twice.
Sure.
I jumped over Bunny's head. Come here! Dang it.
No. You mean little bull.
Yeah, I know, it's sad, isn't it? Hey, I wanted those! Darn it! Will you stop making me fly?
No.
Fine.
Stop making me bounce.
I ran into my own box. I'm still blaming him somehow. Crap. Somebody still hit me in the ass. I don't think people should hit me in the ass.
Oh yeah, the D&D book I'm reading.
Oh yeah, I wanted to know about that.
Ice level reminds me. But yeah, it's called Rime of the Frost Maiden, and it takes place in D&D's Frozen North, called Icewind Dale. And the story story is basically that this goddess of cold weather,
Yeah.
I think her name's Arul or something.
Ow.
Anyway, she got all depressed and decided to take it out on everybody.
In Rivendell?
So she has put up a spell around Icewind Dale that makes it really hard to leave, and the sun has stopped rising in that part of the world, and so it's like perpetual. Goes from nighttime to twilight to nighttime over and over, there's the people who live up there in this little loosely knit community called 10 Towns.
How many towns are there?
And they are having a harder time.
8.5.
They are having a harder time because, like, the lakes are frozen over, making it harder to fish and stuff like that. And but there's a lot of other stuff going on too, and there's a lot of little side quests and things that can be run in different order, and all kinds of stuff that make it, if you run the module more than once, it'll come out differently. Dragons. Darn you. Stupid bucket.
Ow!
Hi, by the way. There's also this guy, this wizard who's running around trying to put all these pieces into this magic shard that he wants to use to build a giant metal dragon to attack 10 towns.
Ow!
And
Ow, 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 ow.
Ow! A lot of other little side things going on, and when you first get there, you'll do little jobs for solve little mysteries and stuff and help out people around town, and then you can visit each of the 10 towns, and you can build up your reputation in them, doing jobs and favors, and of course, it gradually escalates. First you're exploring the 10 towns, and then you're exploring the rest of Icewind Dale, and hi. That means I love you. Don't hit me. And eventually you're looking for this fallen city.
Let's go, Jimmy.
Used to be a floating city that crashed down to the ice and is now a sunken city.
That sounds interesting. And he is saying 10 as in 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Not 10.
Yes.
Because he keeps saying 10 in my ear, and I keep trying to get him to, nod by making jokes about the numbers, but no, he's not listening.
Yes, there are 10 towns, collectively known as 10 towns, that are within a few miles of each other.
10 miles of each other?
Some are bigger than others, and none of them are huge. But most of them have a few hundred people, and they all, survive on things like ice fishing and very little vegetation in Icewind Dale. And supposedly it's kind of a horror story, but I haven't really gotten to the parts that show the horror elements, so I'm not really sure what that's about. What I mean by that.
Cracked. Ow!
But I also punched money, so that was nice.
Damn you all!
Yikes!
I'm a coming. Chickens! Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think that sounds all very interesting.
It's one of those that where you can get a lot of freedom. I mean, the D&D modules in general have varying degrees of freedom. You don't want players to have too much freedom because they don't know, it can get to where they don't know where to go next.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to move the plot forward. And if you're constantly just having to make everything up on the fly, you never get to the parts of the book that you paid for. You know, bought this $35 book, and then the players never want to, you know, talk to the person that gives you the quests. You know, but like a lot of the modules, you know, the plot has to follow a linear order. Like you get a like it starts with you being hired to protect a caravan, and the caravan gets attacked, and the goblins drag off the leader of the caravan, and you have to go and rescue him. And then once you get there, you find a map in the Goblin King's cave, and all this. You know, the map leads you. You know, it's just A has to happen. I mean, before B can happen, before C can happen, and stuff. And you know, but then like Curse of Strahd. You were pretty much dropped into the horror-themed land of Barovia, and you could pretty much explore it in whatever order you wanted. In fact, in Curse of Strahd, there was nothing stopping you really from just, you know, in the first session, walking straight up to Strahd's castle and knocking on the door and attacking it, except you would die horribly, you know, being level 1. But so I mean, it was really cool having that much freedom. This one is somewhere between. I'd say this one is like sort of split into like maybe 3 big chapters, and you have a lot of freedom within those chapters, especially the early chapters. Chapter 1, you have, I mean, you can go to the towns in any order, and each one of them has their own like mini quest, stuff like that. You can start the game in whatever town you want, you know, all that. So if you play the module more than once, it'll be very different. But I think as the story goes on,
replayability is important and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you get your money's worth even if you only play module once, because I mean, a book the size of Curse of Strahd, depending on how thorough your group is, could take them 3 years to complete. You know, it could also take them 6 months to complete if they meet regularly every Saturday or whatever and really power their way through it. But some, you know, it really kind of depends if you have the kind of players who like to explore every little location and, you know, cut off every loose thread and all that. You know, that they could take 2 years. And, you know, for a $35 book to give you multiple years worth of entertainment, I think it's pretty good value.
Yeah.
You know, it's longer than we play most video games.
Yeah, I want to drink.
Except this one. But yeah, it's especially cool that they can design a game book now that you play it a second time and it's a totally different story. The last one I read before this was it's called Waterdeep Dragon Heist.
Yeah.
And before you started the campaign in that one, you would pick what season it is.
Yeah.
And depending on which season, the events that happen in the story would happen in a different order, but most of them would still happen. But also, depending on which season you picked, the villain at the end would be different too.
Oh.
So
okay.
It was kind of cool that you could play it 4 times, but honestly, I didn't really like the story very much.
Okay.
It just didn't do much for me. I don't think it was a low combat, high intrigue plot, and I just can't see any of the people I've run the game for
Yeah.
really going for that. I don't think Brian and Rick would have been. They prefer combat heavy games.
Why would that be?
But anyway. That one was also kind of a two-parter.
You still won. What are you ahhing about?
Now that one also wasn't really a full module. The book, Waterdeep Dragon Heist book was like only about a third of it was the adventure. Another third of it, at least, was like describing the city of Waterdeep, just like the New York City of Dungeons and Dragons. But then it led up to another module called Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which that one was pretty crazy because it was like this 25 level dungeon, just absolutely huge dungeon, and I couldn't even read the whole module on that one because it just sort of, after a while, you just sort of get dungeon fatigue. You know, it's like, I mean, you've been underground for years now without seeing the sunlight. You know, I mean, they have ways of like teleporting to the surface and back and stuff like that, but still. Still, it's just it's one of those where you don't really try and just tackle the whole dungeon at once. You just every time the players are between other adventures, you might go down and clear out a couple more levels of the Mad Mage dungeon.
I hate you.
But it was more like, it's less a dungeon and more like just a map of the underground world. You know? Now, another one that gives you a lot of freedom is Tomb of Annihilation.
Okay.
Have I told you about that one before?
I don't know, but I think I'm hearing about a tomb.
Yeah, Tomb of Annihilation. Basically, the plot of that one takes place in this jungle that is modeled after Africa, or South America. It's got like lots of influences from like Incan type things too. They basically threw a lot of cultures into one big soup. But yeah, it's so weird. You get really close to the fountain and it calls it out of bounds. Which, like, you could not be more in bounds. You're almost in the very center of the racetrack. Anyway, in Tomb of Annihilation, the plot is that some weird curse has fallen over the planet, and as a result of the curse, resurrection spells no longer work. Which, I guess doesn't really make things any worse off than Earth. But the problem is not just that resurrection spells stop working, but that anyone who has ever died and come back to life through a spell is now starting to get weaker and weaker and weaker and finally dying. So this retired adventurer hires you because when she was younger, she once died and was resurrected, and now, that was like decades ago, and now she's retired, but now she's starting to waste away, and she wants you to cure this disease, cure this curse before she dies. And she has maybe 2 months to live, so you do have sort of a time limit, but even if you don't make the time limit, you still want to complete the module, because other people are also still dying and stuff, from this curse. So, and, it would be nice if resurrection spells worked again. So anyway, all they know is that the curse is coming from this somewhere on this peninsula called Chult, which is, like I said, is a jungle peninsula, and the players. There's one port city, one major city in Chult that's on the coast, and so the first session will probably have you exploring that city. But once you do, beyond that, the entire continent is just yours. You can explore it however you want. You're given this big map of the continent where all the spaces are covered up, and covered in blank hexes, while the DM has a version of it that actually tells you what's under each hex. And you can just explore it however you want, and until you randomly come upon the temple where all this is happening. So yeah, like chapter 1 is this really short chapter where we explore the port city. Then chapter 2 is basically the continent, well, it's really a peninsula, but it's huge. And you explore the jungles, and you have to worry about things like how to get fresh water, because if you get water out of a rain puddle, it might have diseases in it. There's dinosaurs on that continent, and zombies and zombie dinosaurs.
Why would the zombie dinosaurs eat the zombies?
And there's really not a lot of things scarier than a zombie T-Rex. And then that would be, then you finally do find the temple, this evil temple, and it's itself a pretty big temple, a pretty big dungeon. So that would be like chapter 3, would be exploring the temple, and it's just full of traps. I mean, it's a very, some dungeons are trap heavy and some dungeons are monster heavy, and this one is a trap heavy one. And so you have to solve lots of puzzles and take lots of chances.
You jumped over my balls.
I did jump over your balls. Also put out a campfire with an ice cube. Anyway, it's a really difficult module. And of course, don't forget, if a character dies during it, they can't be resurrected. So, if you have a high-level cleric, some of his most important spells don't even work.
But when you go back and do it a second time, they can. And you thought I wasn't paying attention.
And anyway, it's it's got a lot of interesting stuff in there. I mean, it's got a lot of freedom, because the players can just find all kinds of things. They can find little mini dungeons and stuff by going whatever direction they decide to go and uncovering different areas of the map. And of course, again, some players are going to want to explore every single hex, but again, there's a time limit,
Damn it!
Well, some players, even once they defeat the battle boss and defeat the curse, they might still keep exploring the content just because it's fun. And
You stole all my power-ups. That's too bad. I was kind of hoping he'd eat you. Oh, by anyway, anyone who's still watching, there is no way I can win. It's impossible. But he does good stories about the books he's reading, so. Right off the bridge. Thanks. You're mean.
I didn't fire it.
You just raced an instant. I am. See, no way. No way in hell. There's just nothing. Did you just run yourself right off the cliff there, dude?
A little bit. Ow.
You're the one who put the dynamite on them. Okay. I can float over it. I'm not proud. Let's go, Jimmy. But we made a bunny cry, so now I have conflicted feelings about this podium. Very conflicted feelings about this podium. Anyway, we make these so that future anthropologists, archivists, whatever, can see what it was like for normal people, sort of. to live through COVID, and we're gonna make another one. It's a Tetris one. Find it.
Normal
Only if you like
people.
puzzles. What?
Normal people, right?
Yeah, I know. We're slightly above intelligent people, not geniuses or anything like that, but sometimes we like to think so.
Thank you for watching.
Bye. He didn't want me to tell you how smart I am. He doesn't. I could sit there. I could tell everybody how smart I am.